Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirosho here, and now, before I do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. We had Deku. We also had his group, Marcy and Chloe. The two fellow Vault Dwellers had a plan for what they were going to do, and it was quite simple. Right now, the NCR still believe themselves to be in a seat of power in Vegas. Meanwhile, there's Mr. House, the Brothers of Steel, and other factions. They drew up a plan that will allow the NCR and Brotherhood to meet under neutral terms. But that's another problem right now with the Brotherhood on lockdown and their current leader unwilling to leave. Now, that is a problem. Right now, they're trying to figure that out. However, they also wanted to facilitate an attack on the NCR, make them more interested in the Enclave. If news got out about an unknown patrol that holds the symbol of the Enclave attacking a NCR outpost, that could be big news. It could mean a lot for them. They may have more bargaining power because they've already talked about them becoming a threat. And with an NCR outpost taken down, it does show they're becoming more bold, more public. And that was the idea. Marcy, yeah, they headed back to Westside and she started up her Scorch Beast act again. Screeching to the night while Deku, he got back in the Thorn. And he had a fight he needed to have. The public watched him fight a Deathclaw. They watched him battle for his life in the ring, with nothing but his bare hands. And Chloe was worried. She doesn't want to admit it, but she saw Deku go a little more animalistic. However, whenever they left and ran out into the desert to join Marcy, whenever she was going to attack the plane heading her way, the vertibird, it didn't go well. Instead of them encountering a vertibird like they normally thought they would have on this night, how it was planned to be, they had to fight off against aliens. They got abducted and they nearly were taken into space. However, thanks to this group's enhanced abilities, they were able to break free and that ship was brought crashing back down to Earth. However, instead of them landing in Las Vegas, Nevada, they landed nearby Salt Lake City in Utah. And that definitely was not good. They were low on medicine. They were low on ammo. Most of their weaponry was damaged. Right now what they have is foreign weaponry, data on aliens, and the clothes on their backs. They don't know anything about the region. Hell, they're hundreds of miles away from home. And this was not good. Marcy, she was concerned. Chloe nearly had a panic attack where her body, it was turning animalistic and turning back to human, as if it was using itself to hyperventilate into a paper bag. And this was bad for a number of reasons. And the group, they started their way towards Salt Lake City. They had a route planned. But things, they never go according to plan, do they? As right now the group, they finally arrived back in the Mojave. Weathered. Unsure. Deku does stand there, walking down the road in body armor. He's glad that they're finally out. His eyes are darting around. He's not sure. He's not sure of anything. His left hand has claws. And right now, they do make their way back into Westside. As when they do to step into their room, there is currently Chloe, who she does go sink against the wall. Her going to lean against the couch and go to stare at the ground. And Marcy, when she does go to sit down on the couch herself, she's going to turn. Her going to check the hiding spot underneath the couch. Right now, her going to flip it and go to grab something that was duct taped to the inside underneath it. Her going to grab the bag of chems and go to turn. Chloe being annoyed and looking up as Marcy does to walk over and dump some jet directly into her lap before she's going to walk over and lean against the corner, jabbing her leg with Med-X and going to fall to the ground. Her sinking low as Deku, he does sit there, going to walk over and look around, where he's going to make his way over to the window and look out. His eyes a little wild, a little feral. And right now, the riot gear he's wearing, it does need a little bit more repairs. He does still have the red eye mask, but that's about it. The helmet's gone, it's torn, it's nowhere to be seen. Their adventure to get back home, it was a wild one. And he doesn't know. Right now, him turning and going to set down his gun, the 45 sitting there on the table. As Deku, he does turn to his bag. Him going to look at some of the contents and being disgusted by it. And he does turn to the two, talking about what they're going to be doing tonight, since there's some things in here he wants to burn. And right now, let's cut back to one fateful day, where the group, they do finally arrive. They do go to step foot into another town. And Izuku, he does express a few things. Right now, him turning the cloak over his head and going to hide him. As the other two, they do follow similarly, keeping their heads down and trying to do a few things. And whenever they do go to make their way through a crowd of people, someone does a turn looking at them. Before whenever a guard does come walking up asking them about who they are, Deku does gonna raise his head, expressing to the man, bring up a fistful of caps. They're quite fine. You zealots? No, we're not. We're passing through. We're heading to the boneyard. Long way to go to get there. We know. It's unsafe for people like us. You're ghouls, aren't you? Deku pulling his hand back quickly, and the man does express they better keep a move on. They don't take kindly to freaks like them. And Deku does nod his head. Them making their way back quickly and heading out of town. And whenever the three do to step out and get further away, they do go to raise their hoods. Right now, Deku turning and asking the two what they've got. And Chloe does go to bring up her own hands, talking about how she's got a few more rounds from a few people there. Though she definitely does think that hitting an actual store could be better. Maybe, but that's risky. We might end up getting some security involved. Maybe, but I can talk to one of the doctors and get work there. We're not too far away from Zion now. I mean, come on. Another half a day and it'll work out, right? Maybe, but still. Other than the arrows we have and the bows, I'm not sure. Those things are a few uses away from breaking. And honestly, with our strength, it's probably sooner. I'm still not happy you made me sell that rifle. We need the caps. We need to eat. I know. I'm still not happy about it. Listen, if we hit a store, then we can get the caps. We can get the money and get proper ammo. Hell, maybe not have to hunt. I mean, all this time out here is messing with my head. It's nicer, but come on. Seriously. What do we do? I don't know. Salt Lake City was a bust. It was left in ruins. I know. Listen, that didn't work out. Maybe if we head off now, we can make it to Zion. You're right. Mercy, do you think that you can fly? I can, but we've still got to be careful. I don't think anyone from the Legion might spot us, but it still is a worry of mine. I know. Listen, I wouldn't ask you if it wasn't worth a risk. We stay up high enough, it could work. Deku going to turn. Before he is a raise up Pip-Boy and begin to record, expressing that it's day 583. Things have not been easy for them. They've had to deal with a few people. Not just potential bounty hunters, but the fact that some raider gangs, they just don't want to leave them alone. They think that they'll get caps if they send them to a scientist. Though that does raise more questions to him. Seriously. Those guys are insane. I know. We've tried our best to keep on track, but the 80 is infested. Mutated fauna outside of Vegas does seem to be the norm. Along with that, Legion territory is wider than we predicted. We've tried going around, but that's proven to be challenging. We've tried going through the forest, and so far things have been easy. Deku began to walk, and the two do go to follow him. Run out them in their robes, and going to walk quickly. Deku with a bow and arrow on his back and a pistol at his side, talking about a few things. Right now, they've got a lot of things to do. Him going to flick his Pip-Boy and then going to bring his left hand down onto Chance's knife, telling the two they can keep going. They can rest at Zion and he can cook up something good. If the national park is still there, then hopefully things are easier. Hopefully fauna has survived. I know, but still, this plan is crazy. Either we run there or I can try to go again for a few hours. You think that you can? Chloe, you're not. We still don't. I don't have control. Just say it. I'm sorry. I'm getting better at this. And I think Marcy is too. I'm getting better too. I know, but Deku turning, going to face her and going to bring his hand up to her face. And whenever she does go to lean into his touch, he does go to tell her she's still not in the proper mindset. She can't handle the stress it puts on her brain. And she does go to stare at him. Marcy talking about it. She can't handle it very well either. Trying to be bigger does help fly, but it also does make things hazier. Going feral is a bad option. And right now, he's the only one who can really control it. I know. Deku bring his hand up and going to pull the cloak off. Rhino him going to turn and begin to focus. And Deku does begin to feel his limbs lengthen. He does begin to feel bones cracking. And the moment he does go to fall onto all fours, he does go to feel the strange sensation running through his brain. Though it is pulled back down onto something to land on. Him going to keep his foot on the neck of the animal, trying to make sure he can keep it pinned down so it doesn't get up and tear the human apart, tear the rational side of his mind to shreds, and that it has become a little easier. He was made to hunt. He's been trained to hunt, learning about it and putting these skills to the test, making proper weapons like this, getting his hands dirty in the wild. It feels instinctual. It's great. And right now, whenever Deku does get a turn, there is where Marcy and Chloe, they do to hop up on his back. And Izuku, he does go to begin sprinting off in a direction. Right now, him trying to think about where he needs to go, what he needs to do. And Marcy, she does try to guide him through the wasteland for a few hours. Though, when they do encounter raiders, yeah, seeing two chicks on a trained Deathclaw was not on the bingo card today. Nor was it for the rest of their day, since that thing tore them to shreds. And Marcy, she was happy that this bow and arrow, she at least got a lot of use out of it. As right now, there is at the end of the day, where the group, they do go to arrive at the national park in Deku. He is properly exhausted. Right now, him going to arrive shortly. And whenever Deku does go to sit down, he does go to lean back. Right now, him leaning against the wall and trying to think. As when they do to look down, they do see the area. It's incredible. It's crazy. It's chaotic. And it's here. Chloe walking over, bending down and sticking her hand in the water as she does go to look at her Pip-Boy and then bring her wrist up, before waving it over the water again and checking her wrist. Deku looking up, as Marcy is currently recording a log and talking about a few things. Her with a knife in her hand and expressing about a lot, as Deku does see her swinging it through the air and flicking it around, before Chloe does a turn and tell both of them that she thinks her Geiger counter is broken. The two both turning. Right now, Marcy going to put away her knife and going to walk over, bending down and going to... This can't be right. Deku going to walk over and bend down himself. And where his Geiger counter does not go off, the three, they do begin to mutter about it. Deku going to fall forwards and force his head down into the water, drinking a mouthful of it, and then going to pull back, talking about it. It's purified. But what does that mean? It's not irradiated? Chloe going to jump up. Right now, her bring her hands up and going to pull her cloak off. Before she does, going to drop her weapons and go to jump in. Right now, her going to crash into the water and going to lay there for a minute. Before she does, going to sit up and tell both of them, it's not irradiated. Holy crap. Her laying back into it. And Marcy, she does go to jump up herself and go to step in. Her filling her canteen and pouring the water down over her head. And Izuku, yeah, he does to get back on his feet. Right now, him going to fall to his knees and going to wash his face off and take mouthful sips. Right now, him going to savor this water. It's incredible. It's right now him being splashed by Chloe. And he does go to look up and see her. Right now, her giving him a cheeky smile as she just won't sit there. Her going to express, so, how does he feel? Deku is sitting back up. And right now, Chloe does go to someone climb to her feet, her in a torn shirt that does have a hole a little bit more towards her waist. However, her cargo pants, they do still hold up. Her telling him, "Oh, come on, it's not that bad." Deku going to splash her with water as Marcy does a turn. Her going to sit there in her Wasteland Surgeon outfit and tell them that this is incredible. Still, though, she would like to take a sample of this. If all the area, if all the water in the region is purified like this, then that's incredible. They're pretty well up in the mountains, too. I mean, how did they, how did this place avoid the fallout? I honestly don't know. I know Deku going to somewhat hold Chloe as she does try to get away from him. As he does, gonna turn and let her go. Her gonna crash down into the water as he is to talk about it. Though it is notable, this place is free of radiation mostly, right? I believe so. If the water's pure like this here, then it could mean a bit. Not only that, but, well, you know, I know. Though we still do need to plan a course back to the Mojave. We do. There's no doubt about that. Guys, them gonna turn. And Chloe does go to slowly climb to her feet and step between the two. Her grabbing onto their shoulders as they all do get to turn invisible. And when they do get to do so, Morrissey just asks Chloe, "What?" "Shh, turn your head." Both of them are going to do so. And right now a massive Yaoguai can be seen. And the creature, it was making its way towards them. However, the moment it lost sight of them, it was looking around, smelling around and trying to get its bearing, trying to find out where they went. And Deku does stare at the massive bear. I mean, that thing is huge. Why? How? I mean, shit. Is that the result of this? Right now, him trying to think. This thing is impossible. It should be. But it's in front of him. That's not good. Deku bringing his hand down and going to grab his knife. Trying to think if he can hit it correctly. If he can take it out at all. And this is where Deku, he does go to feel someone grab the gun from his side. And Marcy, she does go to step forwards, bring up the weapon, and blasting it at the bear's face. Her striking it in the eye as the creature does a roar out. Her turning and telling Deku that if he's going to do something, do it now. Her going to grab her gun and go to blast out. Deku going to turn and going to bring up his hands. Right now thinking about this. And then when the bear does come rushing at them, the two, they do get to land. Marcy debating to scream at it, however, unsure if that might draw more in. Not wanting to draw in the rest of this pack. And this, it does mean a bit. Deku rushing at the creature as it does go to smash into him. And Deku, whenever he does go to greet it, he is about half its size. And he does a stab upwards into its head. Right now it gonna take the blow and swing a hand down, slash him across the chest as he does a stumble backwards. Before he does go to feel the blood running down his chest and turning. The creature swinging a paw at him as Deku there's a duck underneath it and then gonna send out a strike to his chest. Him hitting in the chest as he does go to bring his hand out trying to grab his knife. And the creature, it does not get the chance to have that thing pulled from its head. Right now it going to move backwards and stumbling away. Izuku does a rush forwards, tackling it to the ground. Him smashing it on its back and bringing his hands up. Right now, him using his claws to dig into the creature's neck. Before he does, gonna pull his knife free and then gonna jab it down in the face. Right now, him thinking that he's got it. And he doesn't hold it there. Right now, the bear fighting him before its grip does begin to slowly loosen. And Izuku, whenever he does go to stand above it, he does go to stare down. Him going to try and think for a second about what to do. And this, oh, damn. Pulling the knife back. He's lucky he hit it in the freaking artery. Okay. This thing is huge. They can get plenty of meat out of it, but... Right, it could just be random. They've seen a few strange creatures out in the wasteland. And that, it does go through Deku's mind. Him turning to the other two and asking them if they're hungry. And they do to nod. And right now the three do to walk over, using the skills Deku has taught them, beginning to pick meat off the creature with their knives. And when they do go to take all of it, they do go to leave the creature here. Right now it going to rot on the side of the river. And a lot of its body is left for the scavengers. And they do to continue moving around. They do find a ranger station. And when they do have a chance to sit down and cook the food, Deku, he is standing outside. Him overlooking the area and trying to see if there's any landmarks he can find. But there's not many. All he can really see is, well, mountains. That's not good. It's not good at all. All they see out here are mountains. And the paintings that are left on the side of them. Did people come here after the bombs? Or were people here that day? They must have survived here. At the very least. Okay. The Legion don't know where they are. They lost them a while back, and right now, this place is safe. Though if they do have to deal with giant creatures like that, it could become a problem. He needs to salvage the area, find out more, learn more. This is a national park. If mutated fauna did make their way into the region, then... shit. They could have thrived here. And that's bad. Really, really bad. This on his mind. As, right now, he does come walking downstairs. Him going to sit his shirt down, asking the two if they're fine, and he does a turn looking at them. As, right now, Marcy does talk about it. Her with her lower half of her cargo pants still wet. And Chloe does talk about it. Her turning a piece of meat on the fire, telling him she's fine. And Deku does see that her clothes, they're still wet. She'd have a nice time in the river. And Deku does go talk about it. Going to sit down and turn. Going to close the gate behind them as they do have the ranger station above them. Right. It's going to mean a lot. He should just bring his hand up. Sleeping in here. It's going to mean quite a bit. You want us to sleep in a cage? The gate's unlocked. I doubt an animal can get it open. Besides, it's better than going upstairs. We're out in the open, and honestly, I don't want one of those blood bugs coming after us. Ugh, fair enough. What about the others, though? The others that we can handle. I saw a tree a bit a ways back. If we look further in the park, maybe we can find another one. Hell, find a log and I can start carving it up. See what I can do. If I can get it right, I can make another bow. Things can be better. We can take some time here. Afterwards, I'd say that it's best if we get ready to go. Fair enough. Deku walking over and taking a piece of meat that Marcy does offer him. Him beginning to bite into it and beginning to eat. Still thinking about the mission. Still thinking about the events that got them here. And it does mean a bit. Right now, they need to move some of the crates inside the station cargo bay towards the front. They do to block the view of the gate. And they do make this area a little bit more private. And Deku, he does currently sit on the stairs thinking about a few things. He's tired. And he's still worried. They need to get home. They need to get home fast. It's been over a year. It's been over a fucking year. And right now, what he's worried about is them getting closer to that time. The next time the vault opens, people shouldn't be sent out. If the overseers listen to what he says, that's going to mean a lot. They've lost time and who knows how many souls with this year's time. But that's it. When they get back to the Mojave, they've got to sort this shit out and figure it out. Hopefully that missile launcher's still there. Jesus. It's probably buried in the desert. This is in his mind. Him hearing a sound and jumping to his feet, turning his head as his eyes, they've already adjusted to the dark. In his night vision, it is decent. As right now someone, they do go to sit there in the bush, staring at him. And Deku, when he does go to stand up and turn, holding his knife, they do just stare. Right now them going to stand up and step out. Before going to bring their hands out slowly in Deku, he does go to show the glow of his eyes. And in front of this person, they're seeing something that they've never seen before. Deku going to tell them, stop. And the person does do so. Deku holding up the blade, telling them, if they do plan to come closer, then they need to know. He won't hesitate to tear them in half. And the person, they do just stare at this thing. This thing with glowing eyes. This thing with sharp talons on his hand. And Deku, he does begin to emit a growl. And that noise, it doesn't sound human. It doesn't seem normal. And the person, they do go to bring their hands down, lowering them to the sand and going to draw something out. Before Deku, he does look down at that. Him stepping forward to the person, they do run off quickly. Right now them unsure about these people. And Izuku does watch them leave. Right now him looking at the words they're trying to write. But they don't seem to be correct. And there is the next morning. Right now Deku, he got some sleep. And there was Marcy, who was put on watch next. Right now her going to sit there. As Deku, he is shaken awake. He does go to talk about it. What's going on? Come on, get up. What is it? There's people here. What? Deku grabbing his pistol, climbing to his feet and stepping out. As right now a man does get to stand there. Right now him in bandages and some old gear. And Izuku, he does stare at the man. He's here. The people around him, they're tribals. Their outfits, the way their language is. He's also looking at their hands. They have weapons, but they're not aiming at them. Exactly what are you? Creatures of hell? Agents of chaos? Why exactly have you come here to Zion? Deku turned to the man, as he does to express. They're not any of those. Him going to step in front of Chloe and Marcy, telling the man, they're simply passing through. That's all. Passing through. I would believe that, but you've come at a very inconvenient time. My flock is in danger. And Zion is exactly the most hospitable to outsiders. Tell me, Gentle, what exactly are you? Gentle. What do you mean by that? Do you recognize the term? Tell me, who do you serve? Well, I can't say after everything we've seen out here I exactly believe God's still there, but I can definitely tell you I know what you're talking about. I see. God is still here, child. He does still love us, but after what we've done to each other, that is another story entirely. However, I can assure you, He is still there. He does still love us, but that is a greater challenge. Not many of those know what I speak of. And you, where are you heading to? We're heading back home. We're heading to the Mojave. I see. Well, I'm sorry to inform you, but the path may not be available to you. You block our path. No. I'm telling you it will be arduous. It will not be easy. In fact, I know a man who may be able to help you. But we are busy with our own personal problem. Though, those two, what are they? We're mutants. Pray tell. I wouldn't exactly call us one of God's creations, but we're definitely someone's. Joshua, going to stare on, expressing. They're all God's creations, in this life and in the next. However, they do seem weary, on edge. We're not exactly fond of strangers. Bad experiences. We've been down a long path. We're just tired, we seek rest, and then afterwards we'll leave. You seek to leave Zion. Yes. Well, that will be another challenge entirely. This place is not easy to navigate. I do know someone who may be willing to help you, but we ourselves find ourselves at a complicated impasse. We must defend ourselves. Do what is necessary and take out the white legs. The what? I see. Are we the first you've met in Zion? You are. Then allow me to tell you. The sorrows, the dead horses. We are trying to defend ourselves and take more immediate action. The White Legs have killed a lot of people I've known. And because of that, they need to be dealt with accordingly. Our people are at an impasse. However, I believe we may be able to help you. We have maps. We just need a little bit more information. And you're something quite special. I believe fate has brought all of us together. The Lord does work in mysterious ways, and this one is quite the oddity, if I have seen one. And what's to say that will help you? You want to go home, to leave Zion. Well, I am offering you a map. I am offering you a way. Ultimately, it may be your best bet. If they White Legs leave Zion, then they will wreak more havoc. And they will tarnish many things. They will kill the innocent and they will go unpunished themselves. I see. So, in return, you'll help us. You have my word. Now, the Lord's work needs to be done. Can I take you at your word? Is it trustworthy? Deku going to bring his hand up and draw his gun. Before he does, go to toss it to the ground and tell the man. He doesn't need weapons. His word will be his bond. Though, he's quite surprised to see a surface person, someone up here. They still believe in faith. Whenever all else fails, faith, it can do much. Family can do much. They will help keep you alive. I see that you have family. It's a long story. But, can I take you at your word? Yes, you may. You're the burned man. Are they still calling me by that name? They are. You're from the Mojave, aren't you? One of Caesar's? Yes. I was once in another life. But that is long past. I am no longer that person. I have done a lot since then. Tried to be better, to do good. And I believe it is time that evil must be done, for good to prosper. The Lord's work. Yes. Joshua, having his eyes somewhat narrow. Since Izuku, he may understand. He's speaking the same language as him. He can tell that there's wrath in that boy's eyes, that young man's eyes. So much of it, so full of hate. They're heading back to the Mojave, wherever they may be from. But it's a long journey. He looks worn, tattered, tired, and he just woke up from what he assumes. His people have been watching. And right now, he does want to work with these odd people. And right now, whenever Deku does go to approach Joshua, the man, he does disarm himself, going to hand over his pistol and tell Izuku that this will be his word. Deku bringing his hand up and going to dismiss it, telling the man, if he does have any distrust, any idea that things are not as they seem, then they'll deal with that. But if they've got to help them, then yeah, if they have a camp, he'd like to see it. Him, both curious and intrigued. If they've been able to survive here, what things do they know? How long have they been here? And what tactics are they using? These ideas whirling around in Deku's mind. And the two, they do to follow. Right now, them heading for a camp where they can set up. And hopefully get things sorted out and prepared. They need to go home. But right now, if they're drawn into a war, that could be another issue. With that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.